All right, go.
The story I want to start with tonight was Granddaddy Morton's. Doug and I were about, Doug was probably 12 and I was probably 10. And we actually got Granddaddy's permission to fire his shotgun. Now, Doug wasn't certain what was going to happen when we did this, so I got to go first. Okay? So this was a big gun that he used to shoot squirrels with. It cocked. It didn't have. It had a hammer that you pulled back. And so anyway, we fired it, and it knocked me over. We lost the firing pin, and so we broke Granddaddy's shotgun. Now, those of you who knew Granddaddy Morton, he's a big man. I mean, he was 6 foot. He was an intimidating guy. And we were a little afraid of him, at least I was. And so anyway, so we told Mother we broke his gun. Now, that's one thing about Mother. We could always tell Mother anything. And so we went to get Mother. And Mother said, well, you're going to have to tell Granddaddy. And I said, actually, Doug probably said it. Well, why don't you go with us? And so I remember hiding behind Mother while we told Granddaddy that we broke his shotgun. Okay. Well, he started laughing. And so then he said, well, why are you laughing? He said, there's no firing pin in that shotgun. He said, there's a nail in there. And it falls out all the time. And I carry extra nails when I go hunting. Now, I told Billy this story. And Billy said, yeah, I'm the one who made those nails for Granddaddy. I said, wow. Anyway, years later, Mother asked me if there was any keepsake that I wanted of Granddaddy Morton because he was close to his death. And I said, yeah, I want that shotgun. And so anyway, so then Mother went to her dad and said, Dad, he wants that shotgun. And Granddaddy said, well, I don't have that shotgun anymore. That shotgun was collateral on a $5 loan in the 1930s. And I ran into the guy who I lent that money to, and he gave me $5, and I gave him back his shotgun. So anyway, the lesson I actually learned out of that was what you think your trouble is a lot worse than your real trouble, and you might as well get it over with because all you're going to do is stew about it. And so anyway, that's Granddaddy Morton. That's my mother and Granddaddy Morton story.
All right.
I know tonight we're going to talk about people who aren't here anymore. And so if it makes you cry, that's okay. Because we love those people. But we want to include them here. We want to include Billy cutting Granddaddy's nails. We want to include Kendall when we polished his truck. We want to include Roger when I dropped the soap. We want to include Kay, when she drilled Roger for getting mad at me and said, you shouldn't have taken regular soap, you should have taken ivory as close. We want to include Sam when we remember the time we went and said, hey, we're going to go all have hamburgers. And then we said, oh, we're an Indian family, we don't have any money, and the waitress got so mad at us. We want to include those people. And if it makes us sad, then let's shed a tear. But let's remember something. Henry Nouwen was a theologian who was a Catholic priest in Harvard. And at the end of Henry Nouwen's life, he wrote about two things. He wrote about trust and gratitude. And I think that tonight we'll skip trust because that's a different sermon. But we're going to remember with gratitude, because the core of our family is that we grew up in a family that was surrounded by love. And there couldn't have been something greater than that. And it reminded me when I saw Jason, I saw Blake and Brittany carry their children out, how much they love those kids out of the Grand Ole Opry when they retired, And it reminded me of my youth, because I was carried and loved and was given the greatest gift I can give. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start over here with my big gun.
Oh, whoa, whoa, I got the mic here.
Jason. And so Jason's going to introduce his family and his in-laws and his children, and then we're going to go to Susan and she's going to do the same. And if anybody wants to, oh, you had a different thing.
All right.
So, in perfect fashion, as the ace leading off the squad, my son has decided that he's not going to cooperate, and he's outside with his mom right now. So I'll introduce.
Why don't you say who you are first?
Oh, I'm Jason Ross. I'm Doug Ross's youngest and definitely most handsome son. This is my mother, or my grandmother-in-law, my wife's grandmother.
Jason.
Oh, and here comes my son. You gonna say hello?
Say hello, Wyatt.
This is my grandmother-in-law. This is my wife's grandmother. This is my wife's father and my wife's mother, Kenny and Deb and Eileen. And then my son Wyatt and my wife Christy. I don't have a great story. I just have a ton of memories with this family and going to the beach in Myrtle Beach and going up to Bend and going skiing at Mount Bachelor and everything. Every time we got together, and a lot of this was because of such a good family and a lot of what Dwight had to say. And oh, by the way, that's a really tough act to follow. But just like he said, there's so much love in this family, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud to be a part of this evening. And we love you, Grandma Nancy, and I'm so glad we could be here for the party. Thank you.
I am Susan Smith, Bill Morton's daughter, his most intelligent daughter. Because I'm the oldest. Is that good enough, y'all? I'm the oldest, that makes me the most intelligent. I'm really proud to be a part of this family. Let me introduce everybody first. This is my husband, Kenny Smith. My son, Kenny Smith. This is my grandson, Chase Rickard.
Tell him to turn around so I can see his face. Turn around. No, no, okay, all right, that's okay.
This is my granddaughter, Chloe Rickard. My daughter, Mindy Rickard, is sitting way over yonder.
Where is she? Stand up, stand up, stand up.
That's Mindy Rickard.
Okay.
And then her husband is Sean Rickard.
Sean, you gotta stand up too. Take a bow.
And then I have one more, Kenya.
Oh, you gotta stand up,
She's
stand up.
her youngest daughter.
Yeah.
Sitting over there with all the rest of the Morton bunch.
And I want you to say who your mother is too.
Mother is Wilda Thompson.
Yeah.
That's her maiden name.
Yeah.
Most of the only childhood memories I have of Nancy is when she would come to town. She would come to the house and get her hair fixed. Mom would come, she would come over and Mom would fix her hair. And but I really am proud to be a part of the Morton family. Always, Uncle Gene was special to me and Dudley.
Yeah.
He used to come get us and take us fishing.
He was special to a lot of
He
us.
was,
Yeah.
and but we used to have good times. I remember going down to Calvert City, down to Uncle Sam's, and having family reunions and swimming in his lake, his pond he had out there. But I'm just really proud to be a part of this family.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, thank you.
I want to introduce my wife, Patty, and my mother, Nancy.
Stand up, you gotta stand up. This is Patty, this is Patty.
And then Daddy's wife, Dorothy, wanted to say something, so she's not going to stand up. Dorothy's from Pacific Palisades, or from Los Angeles.
Well, I'm Dorothy Ross, and I'm Wally Ross's second wife. And one of my best friends is Nancy. God bless her. She has raised a wonderful family. And I believe in miracles, and I'm so proud and so happy to get to be included and to be part of this wonderful evening, and to have known and met all these wonderful people. And God bless you all, and all of you stay healthy and happy and believe in miracles, because only good things can come to you. Thank you.
I'm Lydia Ross Menzies. I'm Doug's sister, White's sister. We had another sister, Mary Beth.
That's okay. That's okay.
And her two sons are here today, Daniel and Brian. And Daniel's wife, Diana. Daniel's wife. My daughter, Kelly, with Steph, and her friend, Isabel, who's also they came from Rochester, New York, where they go to school together.
We're talking the Rochester Institute of Technology, where she has multiple scholarships. And this is a really smart young lady here.
Doing a double major in museum studies and cultural and anthropology, and she'll be graduating in a year and a half.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of her.
Yeah. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you.
I don't do a lot of talking because I do a lot of signing, especially with my mom. They're both deaf, and it's like you don't talk to anybody anymore. You decide, and they both can't hear you. You turn and they'll say, huh? But my mom and I have been together for a very long time. I take care of her. She takes care of me. She helped me through a difficult time with my daughter, but thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
I love you.
Hey. Thanks, Lydia.
I was just introduced. I'm Brian Leong. I am son of Mary Beth. She's not here with us today. Also here is my brother Daniel. We're from Portland, Oregon. Happy to be out here. Miss having Grandma and Lydia. They lived with us out in Portland for a long time, and they did a wonderful thing moving out to Alabama for Kelly and take care of her. But we hope that we can draw them back eventually over to Portland because we miss them. And I have a lot of stories, a lot of memories. I'm going to keep them to myself. And,
Yeah.
But thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you introduce You be the patriarch. So Joy's going to be the patriarch since Doug is. Sorry, matriarch.
I'm Joy Ross. I'm Doug's wife. I've been a part of this family for
46 years.
46 years.
46 wonderful years.
Wonderful years. But I have to tell y'all, one of the neatest things about my relationship with Doug was coming to Sam and Sally's house and Roger and Midge, because they lived right next door. These were Nancy's brothers that lived in Possum Trot, Kentucky.
Hey, Possum Trot.
Right, Possum Trot. And this was like, I'm like a big city girl, so this was a little interesting. But what wonderful people they were. They welcomed me into their home and was just, they were always wonderful to me. And that was before I had even met Nancy to meet these brothers that were so supportive and loving. So that's my, and then we went on to meet Nancy in Centertown, Kentucky. And trust me, that is a destination for you, Centertown, Kentucky. population 300. Anyway, this is my table, and these are all good buddies of mine from Alpharetta, Georgia. Pete and Nellie Bowes, Linda and Bob Myers, and Dorothy and Mike Warren. They are special people in our lives, and we so appreciate that they took the time to come here and celebrate with us. And then this is my sister.
Stand up, stand up. You gotta stand up.
And Beverly Allen, and I'll let her talk.
No.
All right, Beverly's not gonna talk.
Holly, you have to talk then.
I have to tell you just one quick little story. Beverly and I, Holly is in the Air Force, the United States Air Force, which we are so proud of her. In Frankfurt, Germany back in the winter, and Beverly and I spent a week with Holly traveling Germany, and Holly was amazing. She was so patient and so kind, because I know we were driving her crazy.
She also did a year in Afghanistan
too.
So we owe her a lot.
And Beverly lives in Austin, Texas, and she is so important to me.
To both of us.
Really good friend. Okay, is that enough?
That's good. That's good.
There'll be two signals tonight. One is thumbs up, you're doing fine, cut it off. Let's go over to start with Jay.
Good evening, I'm Jay Ross. Nancy's my aunt, and my father was Kendall Ross. And I grew up in Joey already referenced it, Centertown. I grew up in the resort town of Centertown, Kentucky. To say that Centertown was a sleepy town is an understatement. But going back, I saw the pictures there, and I saw Visit Back to Kentucky. And that certainly brought back memories in terms of I was growing up in elementary school. I recall all my cousins coming to Centertown, back to Centertown to visit. And certainly Nancy and family and all my cousins. And on his sister's side, Juanita's side, it was an excitement time to be able to get all the family together. And it certainly added a lot of family memories in terms of what we would celebrate around Christmas and in the summertime. So that's what I recall as far as all the excitement that Nancy's family would bring back for summer and Christmas time. So I'm going to introduce my family before I turn over to my sister, Joy. What's that? Yeah, my wife, Melanie.
Gotta stand up, gotta stand up. Gotta take a bow.
Yeah. And my youngest daughter, Ashton's with us. Ashton. And we're currently living in Alpharetta, Georgia, as many people are here. So. And also, I have two other children. My oldest daughter, Brooke, who couldn't be here with us. She has two grandsons with Brooke, and then my son, Chandler. And they both live in the Atlanta area.
Okay, I thought we had it worked out that I was, well, at first I thought we had it worked out that Jay was going to do the speaking, but then he said, Joy, you want each one of us to tell about our own families, and I said, well, that'd be fun, because typically Jay's memory's not very good, and I remember a whole lot more than he does, so I thought, well, I'll be able to put together enough that I'll be able to say what I need to say to this group. Well, he stole my thunder tonight because his memory's kicked in and he's told more than he normally does, and so he's told several things that I meant to tell. But we did grow up in the little sleepy town of Centertown, and we spent most of our lives just waiting for something to happen. And many times it was the cousins coming home, because not only did our Uncle Wallace and Aunt Nancy travel with their children all over the world, then our Aunt Juanita, which is my cousin Susan sitting right here, and that family, they lived in several places around the United States. And so we were always right there. But one thing I remember about the Ross Morton family is that they were really one big family, almost, because my dad was friends with most of Nancy's, all of her brothers, and we grew up in the house that Sam and Sally built, which is Marilyn's parents. She's here tonight, and we just, you know, we were just fond of all the Mortons, and so Doug has pointed out that we actually all go back to the same lineage, so I guess, you know, that's one of the reasons we were all close. And one thing that would happen was that Nancy and Wallace would go, or you know, be somewhere, maybe even out of the country, and they left their Rambler station wagon, which I saw a picture of it on here earlier. And once a month on Sunday afternoon, Jay and I got to ride backwards, you know, in those station wagons. And we started up because we had to keep the battery charged up. So we did that once a month on Sunday afternoons. And then after they bought a new Sunbeam Rapier sports car, I was told it was, when they lived in England and they wore it out, driving all over Europe and taking it to Baylor to school.
Right.
Then I got it, and it was my car, and my dad was smart.
I didn't know
because
that.
the car wouldn't run very fast. The bus passed me on the way to school. And so he didn't have to worry about me getting any tickets or getting myself hurt in any way because the car would barely run. But I enjoyed it, and I called it mine. And so I'm just glad to be here and so thankful for these families and good warm feelings that I feel tonight and all the good memories.
All right. Thank you.
This is my husband, Don Ritchie.
Hey, Don.
This is my middle son, Ross Ritchie, and his friend, Brenner Sears. These are my grandsons, Luke Ritchie and Layton Ritchie.
Layton, look here.
And then this is my youngest son, Bryson Ritchie.
Hey, hey, wave to the camera.
And this is my oldest son, Blake Ritchie, who is the parent of Luke and Layton, and my daughter-in-law, Brittany.
Hello, I'm Susan Kevin Larson, and I'm one of the cousins that could not wait every summer to get to Mama's house. We traveled there from Michigan. We lived in Seattle, we didn't travel, she could come and visit us. It was too far, but we moved to Michigan. Every summer we would drive to Mama's house, and I remember coming down the hills, and getting closer and closer to Centertown. The closer we got, the more I got in the back seat, and then before you knew it, I was up against the back of the car window because I felt like I was getting closer. My sister used to yell at me all the time. She's 5 years older, she's not here tonight. But anyway, going to Mama's, going to Centertown, playing hide and go seek, and smoking cigarettes behind the big, in the cemetery behind Mama's. Yeah, we used to do that.
Mama, by the way, is Mary Ross, our grandmother.
Yeah.
That,
Doug is my cousin.
right.
And my mother, Juanita Rainier, was his dad's.
My aunt, yeah.
Yeah, his aunt. Anyway, we were very, very fortunate to have a very close family with everybody, and that just goes to show where mom and dad and everybody's gone, and we see each other just as much as we did when they were here. And that just goes to show that the love that we were brought up around. I'm very, very thankful to be here. Thank you for inviting us. And that's my husband, Kevin, the handsome dude there.
Hey, come on.
We have a son, one son, Ryan, who just graduated from JMU last year, and he's at home working, so he couldn't make it. And then I have a sister, Lorna, and Jeff Rainier, if you remember that. But again, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm as ready as it get. This is my wife, Vonda, and my little brother, Gary. I am Roger Morton, which is what I go by since I went to elementary school. You all can call me what you used to call me. It doesn't bother me any. I wanted to tell a Centertown story. I didn't plan on this one. But when my kids were about this big, and my youngest son is named Ross, the oldest is Bjorn, we were driving, just for the heck of it, through Centertown, and we stopped to see Ross Morton's grave, which was a little creepy for my son, who's about that big, because his name's Ross Morton. But we were driving through Centertown, and I'm cruising along, and I see he was an old guy like me, so I can say old guy, sitting in an old-fashioned lawn chair in a carport. And I thought, that guy looks familiar. I didn't know who it was at the time, but I thought I knew who it was. And I stopped, jumped out of the car, and I figured in Centertown you'd get away with it, because you wouldn't get away with it. And I walked up to the guy, and it was Kendall Ross, and I told him who I was, and there it was for a while. We had a good time. My sons can't be here, couldn't be here. They wish they could have been. The oldest is married to a lawyer who works for the Florida legislature. And by the way, we have the best looking 2-year-old granddaughter you've ever seen, named Adelina. But the daughter works for the legislature, and she is writing the new laws for Florida to legalize all gambling. So if any of you want to come on down to Florida, if it passes the legislature, she'll be the one to do it. And I wrote some stuff down. Everybody else did such a great job, I'm embarrassed, but I had to write a couple things down because I'm almost 65, and some days I don't know what day it is. So I'm writing some stuff down. First, I wanted to just wish Aunt Nancy happy birthday. And second, I want to thank Cousin Doug, because as far as I know, he was the big guy. Maybe Dwight did, maybe he just hired it out. I don't know, but I want to thank him, I think, for being the big power here in tonight. And I want to tell a story. It tells us something. This is only 4 minutes, by the way, so bear with me. It tells us something about Mortons and Rosses, I think. And for the younger of you who think your mothers and fathers and grandparents and aunts and uncles are a bunch of prayerful fogies who never raised hell, I got news for you. The crimes took place in Centertown. Present and all are fully involved were Brother Gary, cousins Doug, Dwight, Marilyn, Beverly, Mary Beth, I have a hard time even saying the name, Lydia and Dudley. And there were weapons involved. We had BB guns. That was referenced earlier. We had real BB guns, and we shot at each other, and we shot to kill. And it's a miracle we all still have our eyes. But, you know, somebody was watching. It's on an abandoned house. And we shot out all the windows. And went inside, looked around, and then we slunk back to Granddad's, and I don't know if there was a stoolie among us. I'm not naming any names, but it wasn't me. But somebody had blown the whistle on us, and we got a good talking to. But there was no spanking involved, luckily. By the way, that was the same weekend that I heard my first dirty jokes. One of them from Cousin Dwight, and one from Cousin Marilyn. Unfortunately, I could only understand enough about either of them to be sure they were naughty. By today's standards, I'm sure they were pretty tame, but you're both guilty. Now that I've tarnished the image of my cousins, let me move on to my father, uncles, and Aunt Nancy. Some of you may not have known them, so this is for you as well as Nancy. Actually, unlike my cousins, I can only praise my uncles and one aunt. I can't think there could ever have been a better bunch of siblings or human beings than Gene, Walt, Sam, Roger, Billy, and of course Nancy. Gene was a long-suffering guy, what with Clarice's issues. Walt was just the sweetest guy you could imagine. And although Aunt Kay kind of wanted everything her way, Walt just smiled and loved her. As to Sam and Sally, I guess they always wished they had a boy to go along with Marilyn because they always took very good care of him. Sally even bought me a vested herringbone suit and a London fog overcoat when I went off to college. I would have felt right at home in Downton Abbey, the way Aunt Sally had fixed me up. Marilyn probably remembers that one. Unfortunately, I didn't see as much of Billy's branch because they were mostly at the other end of the state, but I remember Uncle Billy as a jolly joker. Somehow you could always tell he was the baby of the family. He was always figuring out how to make some money. It's a little hard for me to talk about my mother and father, but being 40 years a print journalist, I do have a column that I wrote about my father a couple of years after he died, if anybody wants to read that one. I do have a copy. Which brings me to Nancy. To me, Nancy was always kind of the wild hair of the family. Going off to live in odd places, when most of the Mortons stayed or didn't wander too far from the old side of Kentucky, or at least got back there whenever they could. I probably got some notions from her because I ended up living in 10 states and one territory and doing newspaper reporting from Europe and South America. But besides the wanderlust, Nancy is every inch of Morton, sharing traits with her brothers, my uncles and father. They were depression babies. They ate a lot of squirrel. For some of you youngsters, if you hadn't eaten squirrel, it's not that bad. They ate a lot of squirrel and catfish and cornbread. Some of them went to war, and Nancy waited for Wallace to come back. He was a Navy man, if I'm not wrong. But the main thing that all of those cousins, all those brothers and sisters, siblings share, they all had this kind of a twinkle in the eye. They all had sometimes wicked sense of humor. Sometimes you didn't see them coming before they got you. They could be giving you a serious look or a serious talk, but behind it you could see a humor and a feeling that after all, the main purpose of life is to enjoy life. No one exemplifies that better than Aunt Nancy. So I'm overjoyed to still have a Morton, Aunt Nancy, to share that Morton spirit with, and a lot of others here. I'm 65 pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to 75, so Aunt Nancy and I can mark our 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
All right.
That's something I want to say. My brother Roger.
Hold it up to your mouth.
My brother Roger was ornery.
No.
Roger, I didn't have dolls to play with. I cut out dolls out of the Sears Roebuck catalog. And I would make my family room in the corner of one of the rooms to play with. And my brother Roger would come running into the room and he'd say, "There's a storm coming." And he would start blowing, and he would blow all of my dolls, my paper dolls, upside down. Well, of course, I would cry. And my mother would make him get down on his knees and put all my paper dolls back in my order. But I love Roger. I love them all, but I love Roger. He was always that way, and a friend to me when I was even a small, small child.
I think that was Sam that messed up your dolls. I don't think it was Roger.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
Got it. All right, my name is Steve Ross. I am the oldest, maybe not the best looking, but definitely the smartest of the Rosses. So, thank you, JT. I also have, I think I have the better beard. I don't remember in it, but I'll introduce my family and my in-laws first, and then talk a little bit about Nancy. But so, starting over on this side, my father-in-law, Dave Batson. My sister-in-law, Laura Kibalon. My mother-in-law, Sandy Madsen. My wife, Amy Ross. Our middle son, Noah Ross, who's taller than me. I think they're all going to be taller than me. My oldest, Zach Ross. Our youngest, Joey Ross. And last but not least, Mr. Alex Kibalon, my brother-in-law. Thank you very much. Yes. So, one of the things that I love about the Ross and the Mortons and all the extended family that we have is that all the outings that we do, we always go big. So whether it was Myrtle Beach or Uncle Dwight's house in Missouri, I think there was a big crew that came there. We also went to Mount Bachelor, a couple other places than here. Is that these are not small family gatherings. There are always lots and lots of people, and I have lots of great memories. Especially when we went to Kentucky. You know, we didn't really know a whole lot of people there, and my brothers and I were really young, but everybody really took care of us. I remember staying at Sam and Sally's house. I remember the pond in the backyard, playing with Jimmy and Chris, and they were, you know, kept us entertained and had stuff for us to do. I remember one story, I can't remember if it was Pat or it was JT, but they borrowed, it was either Chris or Jimmy's three-wheeler, and it, was that you?
That was me.
Okay, it was JT, so JT was riding the three-wheeler and it tipped over, and rather than just letting his hands off the gas, he decided to gas it, and I think it like spun the wheel on his leg, and that put a pretty big burn on his leg, so I think he learned not to, don't put it on the accelerator. But we have lots of great memories of going to Kentucky, everybody taking care of us. I have lots of great memories of my grandma. One of the things that grandma always was, she always had more energy than anybody else. If anybody remembers some of the stuff that we did when we were in Myrtle Beach is we would play, I think we were playing kickball or wiffle ball on the beach, but grandma was out there running the bases with everybody else, and I just remember people saying about, it's like, how old is your grandma? How should she be out there on the beach running and playing baseball? It's like, she's just got an incredible amount of energy. I mean, I guarantee if we went up there today, she'd probably be out there playing baseball with us today. She's still got that much energy. So, and then she was, for Christmas and birthdays and all kinds of different activities, grandma always, she always sent us a card and always sent us a ton of clothes. I mean, when we were in high school, that was one of the things you look forward to Christmas time. It's like, man, grandma sends me all these awesome clothes for school. She's so good. So, I have lots of wonderful memories of grandma. I have lots of wonderful memories of this family. I love all these get-togethers. I love the fact that Dad puts us all together to keep us all together. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Grandma Nancy. We love you.
You ready?
Yeah. Dad has to.
My name is Patrick Ross. I'm the middle son. Yes, I am the typical middle child. And since JT took best looking, Steve took smartest, I'm going to take tallest. and funnest. This is my wife over here, Ann Ross. These guys that have been distracting everybody all night are my son Parker. Addison is sitting on my wife's lap, and this is Meredith. I blame it on the chocolate, but they act like this all the time. Steve stole my story. I was going to say some of my fondest memories were when we used to go down to Uncle Sam's, down to Paducah, Kentucky, and spend the couple of days with Uncle Sam and stay in the house with Uncle Gene. He used to let us stay up and watch late night. We'd watch the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Mom and Dad would never let us do that. But my fondest memories of Grandma were always, it always seemed like she wouldn't let us get away with everything, but she let us get away with a lot more than Mom and Dad ever used to. So it was always fun when she came to visit. Yes, Parker, do you want to say hi? Anyway, I have so many fond memories of my grandmother. I can't really pinpoint just one, but we do love you, grandmother. We've always enjoyed being with you, and we've enjoyed all the times we've spent with the extended family.
Jim and Juanita too.
Oh, I forgot my in-laws. Yes, very important. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
We'll live that down. This is my in-laws, Jim and Juanita Yale.
Hey!
I do think it's appropriate we keep applauding for all the in-laws because they didn't have to be with us. They chose to be with us. But anyway, happy birthday, Grandma.
Thanks for that.
I'm Daniel Leong. I'm the youngest of Mary Beth. I've been introduced a couple times now. This is my wife, Deanna. We got married in November.
So they're newlyweds.
Congratulations.
I don't. It's funny. I don't have a childhood memory that doesn't include Grandma. She lived with us for. It seems like through college, but maybe it was through high school. When did you move from Portland, Grandma?
1978.
No, from Portland.
From Portland, we left in 1993.
93, okay, so I was a junior in high school then. One thing I really remember from Grandma is what Pat said also about how much energy she had. We didn't have a lot of sports to root for. The Ducks and the Beavers weren't that good at football yet, so we had the Trailblazers, and Grandma really, really loved the Portland Trailblazers, and specifically Clyde Drexler. Yes. And we couldn't get through a game without her yelling at the TV, at the refs, for any foul that Clyde Drexler made on another player. We heard about it for a while. So that's the one thing I can always remember is sitting around the TV watching the Blazers and Grandma yelling at the refs through the TV. So.
Thanks, Dan.
Our daughter Ann exposed the Rosses to gambling. She runs the family football pool, and Joy and JT and Pat normally win. But there's a pool of like 20 of us each week, and boy, it makes the National Football League fun every week.
You're a family bookie.
Yeah, right, yeah. Every family needs a bookie.
Yeah. We'll go around.
Hello, is this thing on?
Yep.
Well, hey, my name is, wait a minute. I didn't know I was supposed to do this tonight.
You didn't. Well, you can ad lib it.
Okay, I ad lib.
Billy always good.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So first off, I'm going to embarrass myself because I usually do that. My children, they love it when Dad, please do not embarrass us, okay? So anyway, did anyone have a challenge getting to this room tonight? Oh my word, people. I mean, for crying out loud, I live here in Tennessee, and this is the volunteer state. So literally, we're going down every hallway and it says, stop, clean restrooms. I like to never got here. I cleaned every one all the way up. So, I took some notes. I know. My name's Dudley Morton, and I am Billy's oldest son, and his only son as well. And I just, I'm gonna ramble for a second, but I won't be long. But I want to say that I'm extremely proud to be Billy Morton's son. I am very proud to be his son. What a wonderful man. What a heart. What a giver he was. And I know that he got what was in his heart, and what made him who he was this family that he's part of. And he instilled it in me at a very early age. What a grand thing that was to be part of this family. And he loved his sister Nancy so much. He loved his brothers so much. His family was everything to him. And he dedicated his entire life to his family. And I just hope that I can, in some small way, have some semblance of measure to that. I am so honored to be part of the Morton Ross family. I really am. I named my son William Ross Morton. And so I have lots of memories. As you all, many of you do not know my childhood, my mother and father. My mother, Wilda, Muriel Thompson, met my dad through my Uncle Gene. Aunt Clarice was in the hospital, and my mother was in the hospital as well. And Uncle Gene's going to meet, them, and says, hey, Billy, come with me, blah, blah, blah. And they get in the hospital, and he winds up meeting Wilda Muriel, and the next thing you know, here I am. Wow. How'd that happen? But, so I'm Billy's oldest and his ugliest. Okay? But Aunt Nancy, I have to tell you, throughout my entire life, every time I ever saw you, and it wasn't that many times, folks, because my mom and dad divorced when I was 5 years old, and I was moved around and such, and you know the story. We all turned out okay. But Aunt Nancy was always so warm, so loving, so kind. I always felt, no matter if it had been years since I'd seen her, when I did see her, and she looked me in the eyes and said, Dudley. And she gave me that hug. I'm gonna tell you right now, it was like I saw her yesterday. I mean, she had so much love and compassion. I'm here with Shara Greenwood, who I've asked to be with me tonight, and she is my significant other. And my daughter, Brooke, is here, and she is married to Randy, and they have 2 children that are just absolutely crazy. Now, if you don't believe me, get on Facebook, you'll see it. Jet and Jude, and they're taken after their mom, very talented musically. And then I have Will sitting next to her, and he's my baby. He's 21, he's a junior in college. And then I have Jessica, who's my middle daughter. And she is wildly wonderful, graduated Dallas Baptist University, ministry degree, and she's a worship leader and a very talented musician. And Kenya's sitting here, which is Susan's daughter. I have Samantha here, who's my baby sister, Samantha Morton. And Samantha just had 5 bypasses, literally just a few weeks ago. 8 weeks ago today. And praise God, she's doing fantastic. Her daughter Megan is here with her. Amy Alexander is here. Mary Adams is here. And Deanna Bess. And Deanna, what's your last name? Young? Oh, yeah. Young. Hey. And then my sister Susan, which is over there. You've met Susan. So Doug's here with his 5 sisters. Is that right? Yeah. I'm here with my 5 sisters. And, you know, I want to tell you that I met a guy a few years ago. His name was Jimmy Maddox. Anybody ever heard of Jimmy Maddox?
Absolutely.
From Centertown?
No, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I became friends with Jimmy. I actually met him at my father's funeral and became friends with him. I talked to him several times on the phone, and he told me all kinds of crazy stories about these Morton kids growing up in Centertown, you know, running cars off the hill and, you know, no engines, no brakes, you know, all kinds of crazy stories. And so, you know, maybe I could share with you some of those. But Jimmy and I shared a lot of things back and forth, and he sent me lots of pictures from Centertown and all that. A couple things, and I'll wrap up here. I'm sorry for being long-winded, but I'm just like my dad, okay? Those of you that know Billy, he probably would have had to drag this microphone out of his hand. But I also want to mention something that, I mean, you don't know here, this is such a huge family, and I want to say to Doug and Dwight, you guys have pulled this together. It's incredible. It's so great. And you are all my family, and I don't know half of you. I don't. And really, there's not a lot I can do about it, but I'm hoping that out of this get-together, that we can come up with a list of everyone's names, emails, phone numbers, whatever we need, so that we can communicate a little bit more. Let's create a Facebook group and all get on it or something, so that we can stay connected somewhat. Because things happen like Samantha having this surgery, nobody knew that. You know, things happening like, this is what I wanted to mention, is Mindy and Sean here lost a child a very short period of times ago. His name was Caleb Rickard. How old was Caleb when he passed? He was 3. See, the family didn't really know that. But you know what? I just wanted to mention Caleb here at this family gathering. And I think it's important. And Nancy, I got a statement I want to say, and I think this kind of sums it up for me. She is a timeless soul who knows no era, but lives life as it was meant to be lived. Happy birthday, Aunt Nancy. I love you.